Doom! I love first-person shooters. I really do. And, Doom. It is such a time-honored classic game. It actually started really the FPS genre, and we have the best incarnation, in my opinion, with the 2016 version of Doom. If you just want mindless fun, killing demons left and right with amazing weapons like shotguns, rocket launchers, chainsaws, and the series famous BFG, then you're gonna love Doom. The story is as simplistic as it gets. Demons have invaded Mars, wipe everything out in sight. And guess what? It's amazing. And it's true, too. You really do kill every demon on Mars. You even get to go to hell, which is awesome in itself, or at least this game's version of it. And you get such cool weapons like the double-barreled shotgun, you get machine guns, you get sonic cannons, you get a big freaking Gatling gun that can go into 3 mini barrels. You have rocket launchers. I mentioned the BFG, which is there for some fans. Plasma rifles. There is so much fun to be had in this game. And of course, the chainsaw is in there. They have brand new glory kills where you can rip demons in half. You can push in their eyes. You can freaking put them on the ground and then stomp on their heads. And the best part is, they adjust to your angle. You could jump from high heights and execute a glory kill and just smash them right through with your boots. It's amazing. I love this game. It has incredibly great rock music and boss battles. I can't say much more about it, but let's just say if you want an amazing time just killing everything in sight, just go and get Doom right now.
Hey, Sharpie. Love what you've done with the place.
That's Warden Shop to you. Holes!
Yo, Frankie! How's the wife and kids? You miss me?
Shut it, clown!
A lot of people here really want to talk to you.
Really? I don't mind walking. Not so tight, boys. You'll crease the suit.
Get that filthy degenerate out of here!
Warden, something's not right. I'm going with him.
I'm Batman. Batman Arkham Asylum. Batman Arkham Asylum is quite a unique and important game. Because when this came out, the superhero genre didn't exactly have a good reputation in video games. And of course, coming off the heels of The Dark Knight, people were wondering, could we really get a really good quality Batman game? Because before, we'd gotten some pretty bad titles. I mean, the movie version of Batman Begins was fine, but nothing innovative. We got an incredible game here with Arkham Asylum. Best part is, it wasn't tied into any comic book or any movie. It wasn't even tied into any kind of TV show. It was its own thing. Even though it did bring in animated series voice actors. Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy voiced Batman and the Joker of their fame from the animated series. And the game is so much fun. The gameplay is everything you could want. The combat feels, you're like Batman basically. You jump from enemy to enemy like a ninja. You can pull off some pretty impressive takedowns. Every punch feels impressive. You have stealth takedowns and stealth sections. Playing to Batman, being, like a knight. Like the Dark Knight as he skewers above and the gargoyles above, taking enemies out one by one with silent takedowns and aerial takedowns. Those feel great. The gadgets are great. You have the famous batarangs. You have stuff like explosive gel, sonic batarangs, remote control batarangs. So much at your disposal. Not to mention, one thing it does very well is incorporate detective vision. One thing that a lot of Batman films often forget is that he's a detective. The animated series nailed this, so it was important that a game try to incorporate that somehow. And thankfully, they do it with exciting gameplay sections. There's never a section where he just goes to his computer, sits down and taps on the keyboard, and then solve something. I mean, you have cutscenes like that, but there are gameplay sections that incorporate detective vision. In fact, it's pretty much required and a necessity. It's amazing what they did with this game. It set a brand new standard for superhero games. Now they have to have brilliant stories, they have to have fun and contextual gameplay, they have to be engaging at all times, and they have to fit the lore. You can't just take something completely out of the blue and just slap a name on it. Batman Arkham Asylum feels like a Batman story right out of the comic books, and I just love this game so much. Pick this up immediately. If you don't own it already, they have a remastered version out for the next-gen consoles. I recommend it because it is an incredible time and you truly feel like the Dark Knight.
Thomas Wayne. In the event of my death, I hereby declare that all my worldly possessions pass to my son, Bruce Wayne. Bruce, I ask that you honor the Wayne family legacy and commit yourself to the improvement of Gotham City, its institutions, and its citizens. Please, be strong. You are young, but destined for great things. Make the most of your opportunities. Use them to give back to a city that has given us so much, to change the lives of millions of people. Do not be frivolous with this wealth. Please do not waste it all on fast cars and outrageous clothes and the pursuit of a destructive lifestyle. Invest in Gotham. Treat its people like family. Watch over them and use this money to safeguard them from forces beyond their control. My deepest regret is I will not see you grow into the good man I know you will become. And finally, my son, I ask that you never abandon this city to fate.
Batman Arkham Knight. This was meant to be the big blockbuster conclusion to the Arkham trilogy. And they took this with a few risks. They brought in a brand new character known as the Arkham Knight. They introduced the Batmobile for the first time. They had a wide open city map. It was incredible to see what they were going to do. And it is amazing what they did. Say what you want about the Arkham Knight character himself. Granted, he is a little disappointing, especially once you figure it out. But still, he is a very intriguing villain at the beginning, especially if you don't know a lot about the Batman lore. If you really don't know a lot about some famous Batman stories, it might surprise you who it ends up becoming. But if you're like me and you love Batman and you know a lot of stories, especially a lot of comic lines, then you know who it is, who the Arkham Knight's meant to be. But they still do some great things here. The gameplay is fantastic. He has new takedowns, new abilities, new gadgets that help you get out of certain situations. Detective vision becomes more vital than ever. New enemy types forcing you to change up the combat. Of course, let's talk about the Bat Tank, basically. Yes, I will agree. There are a few too many sections where you're just fighting drones, but you cannot deny how fun it is just to race across Gotham in this thing. We've never gotten to do this in video game form before. Able to just hop in the Batmobile whenever we please, not just have it be restricted to a turret section. Sometimes you don't even have to fight. Sometimes if you just want to go through a nice little Sunday drive through Gotham City while criminals are burning and looting, you can just call on the Batmobile and just zoom along. It's amazing. And I know this game has some fans divided. I feel it is still very, very strong. I love what they did with Arkham Knight. I personally do recommend it. I think Arkham Knight is an incredible Batman game and a strong finale. Spider-Man on PS4. The Spider-Man games don't exactly have a great reputation, let's just say the least. I mean, they're all seen as some crappy copy and paste movie tie-in games. Aside from Spider-Man 2, most people like that. But the last Spider-Man game, Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, was panned by critics for just being a poor Batman Arkham knockoff, just, you know, with Spider-Man attached. So, of course, when we heard we were getting another Spider-Man game announced, it's like, oh, great, we get another one of these. But the developers were behind the excellent Ratchet & Clank games, Insomniac. And they gave us Spider-Man. No movie tie-in, not even a tie-in to a comic, just Spider-Man, and it's amazing! As a Spider-Man fan, I love this game. It's jam-packed with villains. You got references, you have Mr. Negative, Dr. Octopus, you have Rhino, you have Scorpion, you have Vulture, you have Electro, you have incredible villains, including references to some, even in the end credits. I love what they did with the character himself. Instead of going through the, you know, same old thing, you know, Uncle Ben gets shot, oh no, boo-hoo, I'm sad, you know, Spider-Man, you know, we go back, he's already been Spider-Man for quite some time now. Parker's well into his 20s, and he's been Spider-Man for quite some time now, and it fits perfectly. I especially love the design that they did with the suit, the white spider, you know, the cool new look, and the access to so many famous suits. It's incredible. The content amount is insane. There's an insane amount of gadgets to unlock with certain power-ups and mods to add for those gadgets. There's suit powers that you can unlock with each individual suit. Each suit has its own unique design and it has certain skills. Some suits are better for heavy combat, some suits are better for stealth. It's amazing. I love this Spider-Man game. I cannot wait for a sequel. It's like the best of the Raimi films and the best of some of the greatest Spider-Man comics meshed into one to give us this. I hope we get more Spider-Man from Insomniac in the future.
Who sent you?
Hugo Strange!
So, you know my name. Good. Because I know everything about you. Your darkest secret. Your ultimate weakness. I know you are Bruce Wayne.
I'm back. Batman Arkham City. Batman Arkham City had a lot to live up to. Arkham Asylum already set a new standard for superhero video games. Now they have to, have an interesting location to make the environments feel familiar. You have to have a lot of good not maybe a lot of antagonists, but you have to have one strong central antagonist, a plot that constantly keeps you moving, that doesn't have a lot of time to lag, and even if there are slower sections, have them be engaging. And the gameplay has to be very, very fun. And of course, Arkham City absolutely did that. But they changed it up a bit. They have a new plot twist involving Batman and the Joker. They bring in a new villain in Hugo Strange. A few new villains pay a visit, like Solomon Grundy, the Penguin. Mr. Freeze actually comes in this time. Catwoman, Two-Face. We actually get some new villains this time around. And this time they go into more of an open map. And while it's not that big a world, Arkham City itself is an incredibly well-designed place. An entire section of Gotham has been cut off to become a prison for the worst of inmates. The super criminals from Arkham Asylum and Blackgate Prison have been transferred here. And of course, this is not a prison, it's just a brewing pot for a gang war between the Joker, Penguin, and Two-Face. And Batman is, of course, in the middle of all of this, with Protocol 10 being a mysterious part of all this, and a mysterious plan hatched by Ra's al Ghul. This game is some of the greatest things from Batman. It has a bit of the dark atmosphere of the Burton films. It has amazing story and characters like the Nolan movies. And it has some of the greatest aspects from the animated series and the comics. A lot of voice actors from the animated series come to voice in their parts. Hamill and Conroy, of course, return as Batman and Joker, and they give strong performances here. I love some of the side quests as they tie in the villains. I love what they did here. Arkham Asylum is just how to do a superhero game right. And while Arkham Knight and Arkham Asylum are certainly strong entries, I do feel Arkham City was best and had an incredible story. So if you really are going to pick up just one Batman game, I would recommend picking up Asylum, Knight, and City. But if you're really just going to pick up one, I recommend picking up Batman Arkham City. It is so worth every penny. The Uncharted series. I really struggle which one to pick. I honestly just had to choose all of them because the Uncharted series is so good, excluding the last one. And I mean like the spin-off game. I'm talking about the main series with Nathan Drake. Of course, you know, Uncharted 1, 2, 3, and 4. With Uncharted 4, I do feel being the strongest entry here. These games were developed by Naughty Dog Studios, who are incredible game developers. They're best probably known for Crash Bandicoot and The Last of Us, but Uncharted is a really fun series. It doesn't have to be all dark and depressing all the time. It also it's not too bright and colorful like Crash Bandicoot. It's a good mix of some of the more serious moments of Last of Us and the more lighthearted moments of Crash Bandicoot. I basically say this is the best Indiana Jones-esque type game. It has a lot of the Indiana Jones feel, with Nathan Drake going after ancient artifacts, going through lots of obstacles, with an antagonist with a military-ish type force coming to hunt him, lots of gunfights, insane chase sequences, lots of solving puzzles. It's all well crafted. I actually want this to be the next Indiana Jones franchise. I want these to be movies. If any games deserve to be movies, it's Uncharted. And there's no need to do any retconning or anything. The stories are right there. You have the treasure hunts, you have cool gunfights, cool chase sequences like in the jungle in Uncharted 4. You have incredible things to do. There is so much to be done here. Nathan Drake is so likable. He's like Indiana Jones. I love Nolan North's voice work for him. Almost every character is likable. Even the antagonists are surprisingly kind of fun. And while they can feel a bit of a knockoff of Belloc from Raiders of the Lost Ark, I love what they've done here. If you own a PlayStation 4 and you haven't played any of the Uncharted games, it's an unholy sin! You have to play Uncharted. And even if you don't own a PS4, this is definitely worth a purchase, Uncharted 4. Guys, I beg you, if you haven't played it, what are you doing? Go play Uncharted and just experience the vast and fun adventures that this series has to offer. Battlefield 1. If there's one thing that I love, it's a good first-person shooter. I especially love military shooters. Games like the first Call of Duty World at War, some of the earliest Medal of Honor games, and now Battlefield 1. I actually really love the Battlefield series. While its campaigns aren't the best, I love its multiplayer, the large open maps, the feeling of large major scale warfare with tanks and aerial vehicles and ground troops, 64 players just running at each other with full combat gear, each with unique classes, abilities, and weapons. I love what they did here. And Battlefield 1 did something a bit risky. Most people were kind of sick of the Modern Warfare because I think after the Bad Company games, we got nothing but Modern Warfare games from there on out. And after the pretty negatively received Battlefield Hardline, Battlefield had a lot to make up for in its next big title. They didn't just go back to a generic World War II shooter, they went even further back, World War I. People were wondering, can this be fun? And DICE made it one of the most fun experiences I've ever had. I think it's the most fun I've had in a multiplayer shooter to date. It has a lot of good weapons. It feels just right for the time period. The campaign is genuinely good with war stories. I love its multiplayer aspect. The game looks incredible. It looks beautiful. DICE's Frostbite engine, you cannot deny, is probably the best engine out there for a shooter. It's incredible. I also love the new added multiplayer mechanic, Operations, that feels sort of like a mini campaign with large-scale warfare as its main theme, with giant maps, fillings of tank charges, desperate attempts to push the enemy back, airships overhead, bombers and fighter planes coming around. I love Battlefield 1. If you love good multiplayer shooters and you're kind of sick of the Modern Warfare or futuristic trend and you just want a good old-fashioned World War shooter, but you kind of are done with World War II, pick up Battlefield 1. It's a fun World War I shooter. I say it is worth it on the multiplayer alone. This game is a bloody awesome time.
Sarah. Move your hands, baby. I know, baby, I know. God. Listen to me. I know this hurts, baby. You're gonna be okay, baby. Stay with me. All right, I'm gonna pick you up. I know, baby. I know it hurts. Come on, baby. Please. I know, baby. I know. Sarah. Baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Don't do this to me, baby. No. 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 Please. Please don't. Please.
The Last of Us. This game is fun, don't get me wrong. It has a lot of fantastic gameplay sections. It has good gunfights. It has some entertaining good fight gameplay with hand-to-hand combat, and also using some good melee weapons. But this is a very, very good story-driven game. That's clearly its main focus is on the story. Its gameplay is fantastic, some of the best that Naughty Dog has ever created. But it clearly is more story-focused here, focusing on Joel and Ellie, a girl who is immune to this virus that's turning everyone into zombie-like creatures. They're not zombies, but they're actually even more terrifying than zombies in some ways. And they're escorting them across the country to find these fireflies so they can develop a cure for this disease that's wiping out mankind. And now this game is depressing. It's dark. It's downright dreadful. And it's amazing. I love The Last of Us. It has a very frightening, hopeless atmosphere. This game is bleak. This creates a world devoid of hope, filled with nothing but threats that are out to get you, which can make it kind of satisfying and very hopeful when you make it through these horrible things. Not to mention, they have some interesting designs for the zombie genre. They have these new fungus-like clickers that are scary and freaking terrifying, and you hate fighting them. There's a lot of stealth sections that go into survival horror route. This is not just a straight-out shoot-'em-up game. Yes, you get access to guns, but ammo is very scarce. When you get guns, save bullets. You need bullets because when you're gonna go up against some pretty nasty zombies, you're gonna need them. Try stealth killing as much as you can. You also have a good crafting system, which allows you to craft things like bandages, Molotov cocktails, things like some shivs that you're going to need for stealth sections, smoke bombs, little shrapnel grenades that will explode, killing a few enemies. You're going to need to save up your resources. The game has fantastic gameplay and a very heartbreaking but very well voice-acted and emotional story. I cannot wait for The Last of Us Part 2. This is, in my opinion, one of the best. This is one of the best games ever made. And if you ever own, if you owned a PS3 and you played it, or if you own a PS4 and you played the remastered, it's so worth it. I love The Last of Us. It's emotionally resonant, and I hope we get more games like this from Naughty Dog.
Ripley, I hope to God you can hear this. Something's gone wrong.
The devil take me.
Alien Isolation. Alien Isolation has one of the most genius ideas ever. Taking the Alien franchise, which is my favorite horror franchise, particularly Alien, which is my favorite horror movie of all time, and one of my favorite movies of all time, and taking that claustrophobic atmosphere and applying it to a game, but making it survival horror. That's freaking genius! And it was done by a strategy game company, oddly enough, Creative Assembly, who had done nothing but strategy games like the Total War series. So, of course, when they ventured into survival horror, it was going to be interesting to see if they could pull this off. They did it masterfully here. One thing that they did so well is recreate the atmosphere and environment of the original Alien, the Sevastopol station. You feel like you're on the Nostromo, but it's eerie, it's dark, it's terrifying. And of course you are wondering of what could possibly be going on. The station, the minute you set foot on the station, you know something is not right. The alien itself is terrifying. After the disaster that was Colonial Marines, particularly for its dumb alien AI, it was vital that this game get down its alien AI correctly, and they hit it right on the bullseye. This thing is terrifying when you hear it rumbling in the vents above you, or even below you, or you hear its footsteps. It's hissing as it searches for you. This thing is terrifying, and you hate being stuck in a room with it. But at the same time, if you're a fan like I am, you're just like, oh my gosh, there it is! A xenomorph is hunting me! And the best part about this being a horror game, no way you can defeat this thing. You can't outrun it because it can just dash across the room and impale you. You can't kill it because you don't have any really good weapons at your disposal. You get a shotgun and a revolver, but they're useless against the alien. You do get a flamethrower that can push the alien off, but only for a few seconds. And that fuel runs out real quick. So, yeah, you're basically, all you can do is run, hide, and survive. You can use your all-important motion tracker to track the alien, though it'll most likely hear that and come down to kill you. It hunts you in vents as you crawl through, which is terrifying on its own. Alien Isolation is the alien game that fans have been waiting for. Now there is rumor that Cold Iron Studios would be working on a new Alien game. Sadly, I don't think we're ever going to get a sequel to Isolation, which is a shame because I think this game is perfect for it. I am so up for another survival horror game in the Alien universe. Maybe Cold Iron does that route, or maybe they'll try the Aliens route again. Go with an action shooter, but mix it with survival horror. I like what Angry Joe suggested. The stealth mixed with a marine shooter. You can still kill aliens with your pulse rifle, and that's when it's an action game. Goes into the horror route, though, when you run out of ammo and then you're forced to hide away from the aliens. I just wish that they would make a sequel, but until then, I just love playing Alien Isolation whenever I feel like getting my heebie-jeebies.
What I remember about the rise of the Empire is how quiet it was. During the waning hours of the Clone Wars, the 501st Legion was discreetly transferred back to Coruscant. It was a silent trip. We all knew what was about to happen, what we're about to do. Did we have any doubts? Any private, traitorous thoughts? Perhaps, but no one said a word. Not on the flight to Coruscant, not when Order 66 came down, and not when we marched into the Jedi Temple. Not a word.
Star Wars Battlefront 2, 2005. It only makes sense that my favorite franchise of all time would have my favorite game. In 2004, we got the original Battlefront, which was made by Pandemic, and they did a good job with it. You know, it was originally started out as a mod for Battlefield, you know, with Star Wars characters, and Pandemic took the idea to a whole new level. And it made sense. It's perfect for the Star Wars universe with the Empire versus the Rebellion. You know, you had, of course, the large-scale battles on wide open planets with vehicles. Pandemic upped the ante, and Battlefront 2 with not only adding prequel units, but adding a bit of a better campaign here. Here, you play as the 501st Legion, and you not only create the end of the Clone Wars, but you're responsible for executing Order 66 and the rise of the Empire. You actually get to play some of the most famous missions in Star Wars canon. Order 66, the Battle of Hoth, the fight on Yavin 4, the Revenge for the Empire, the Death Star battles, the Battle of Geonosis. It's some of the most epic Star Wars canon to date. I love what they did with this game. The space battles are tons of fun, with capital ship battles coming into play here. But let's talk about my favorite edition, and one I am so pissed that EA and DICE will not include: Galactic Conquest. This was my favorite thing. I've raved about it so many times. I kid you not, this was my favorite thing. This was like a mini campaign. You choose an era of Star Wars and you hop from planet to planet, doing a space battle, and if you win the space battle, you get a ground invasion. You have so many things you can do. You unlock unique classes and vehicles. You unlock bonuses for additional troops, heroes, health bonuses, stronger blaster fire, sabotaging your opponent's vehicles and health systems. There's so much to do in this game, and I'm so sad that EA is just bludgeoning this beloved franchise. EA is beating this game to a bloody pulp, and I pray that Disney, before it's too late, pluck the Battlefront license from EA's hands and give it to somebody else. The fact that a 2017 studio cannot do what a 2005 studio did, it's kind of depressing, but at the same time really cool. The fact that 2005 still gave us my favorite game. This is an amazing Star Wars game, and if you own a PlayStation 2 or an original Xbox, or however this thing's still available, if you own a PC and you own this game, treasure it. This game is a treasure. It is my favorite game of all time, and none has come close. So guys, those are my favorite games of all time. Let me know what your favorite games are down in the comments below. Please stay tuned. Next coming up is going to be my top 10 most disappointing movies of all time. That's going to be interesting. Anyways, guys, that's it from me. Let me know what your favorite games are in the comments below. And also tell me what you think of my list. Anything you disagree with, anything you do agree with. Anyways, that's it from me. I'll see you nerds later.